Welcome back. Kenya Airways has started talks with the government seeking its help in coping with competition from foreign carriers operating flights to its Nairobi hub. The airline, partly owned by the state and Air France-KLM, is restructuring its finances to cut huge debts and reduce finance costs to help it return to profitability after years of losses. The losses caused by a slump in tourism due to frequent attacks in Kenya by militants from neighboring Somalia came at a time when the airline was taking on debts to buy new planes and as Gulf-based rivals ratcheted up competition. And to commodities matters now. Ivory Coast and Ghana, the world's top cocoa producers, plan to create a buffer stock of beans with the aim of exerting more influence over world prices. The two West African neighbors produce over 60% of the global supply of the chocolate ingredient, but have been hit hard by a sharp drop in world prices caused mainly by a glut resulting from bumper crops this season. The International Cocoa Organization forecasts a global surplus of 371,000 tons this season. The two governments submitted a request in May to the Abidjan-based African Development Bank for a $1.2 billion loan to pay for the infrastructure. They hope the financing will be approved before the end of this year to allow for stocking in the 2018 and 19 season. Under the plan, Ivory Coast will build 6 warehouses with total capacity of 250,000 tons near to the main growing areas. The two nations, along with Africa's third largest producer, Cameroon, said on Thursday they would seek to modify the International Cocoa Agreement, the founding document of the ICCO, the world's body of producer and consumer countries. And oil prices edged higher on Friday as the market waited to see whether major oil producers would extend supply cuts beyond March at a meeting in Vienna. International benchmark Brent crude futures were at $56.51 a barrel, up 8 cents from their last close. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were up 12 cents at $50.67 per barrel. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and other producers are meeting in Vienna today to discuss a possible extension of an oil supply cut deal to prop up prices. And to precious metal market now, gold rebounded from a 4-week low on Friday as the latest twist in tensions between the United States and North Korea prompted investors to seek safe haven assets. Spot gold was up 0.4% at $1,296 an ounce, having hit a 4-week low of $1,287 in the previous session. Bullion was down 1.7% for the week and was headed for a second weekly decline. U.S. gold futures for December delivery climbed 0.4% to $1,299 an ounce. Now, there is a growing political crisis in Togo with regular protests calling for presidential term limits to be amended to 2 years, and business people say they are paying the cost as the economic impact of the mass action starts to be felt on the ground. Let's watch this.
It seems like business as usual in Togo's capital, Lomé, despite growing tension and ongoing protests calling for an end to President Faure Gnassingbé's rule. But many say the political crisis is having a negative impact on their livelihood. Residents say there have been internet cuts, a method increasingly used by governments to stifle criticism at sensitive times.
For young entrepreneurs such as us, the internet is a tool that we use often in order to sell our products and market our products. Today, the internet has been shut down, and it's not the first time. It was also shut down last week. It's really deplorable. It has led to serious consequences for our businesses.
Ça a eu de très grandes conséquences sur nos activités.
On Wednesday, September the 20th, thousands marched nationwide against government reforms announced on Tuesday, which they say will allow the Gnassingbé's family dynasty to run the West African country until 2030. In Lomé, people wearing the red and orange T-shirts of the opposition banged on drums and sang a traditional battle song, Strength to the Great, in the local Ewe language. Others carried a giant banner saying, "People of Togo say no, 50 years is enough." Meanwhile, thousands of pro-government supporters also held an alternative march to show their support for Nyasimbe's government. Togolese authorities acknowledged blocking internet access but said it was to curb the spread of hate speech and misinformation. The former French colony of 8 million people is home to several large firms, including EcoBank and regional airline A-Sky. And authorities noted the crisis has begun affecting the economy.
There's been an impact on the economy. When you look at the recent evaluation by the Togo Revenue Authority, the 2 days of protests led to losses of around 2.5 billion CFA, and there was a drop in movement of trucks at the port. It's something that's worrying. It's very worrying.
Nyasimbe's family has ruled the small West African country for 50 years, and frustration over the slow pace of reform has spilled onto the streets several times since August, involving thousands and prompting the United Nations calls for action.
In South Africa, the central bank says it's concerned about regrettable accounting practices at the local unit of auditor KPMG. The central bank governor has pledged to engage banks and audit firms primarily to understand the context so it's better placed to manage any potential financial stability risk that may arise from the issues around KPMG. KPMG's investigation into its work for the Guptas, accused by a public watchdog of improperly influencing government contracts, identified no evidence of crimes or corruption, but it acknowledged flaws in a report that it compiled for South Africa's tax service, which implied that former Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan had helped set up a rogue spy unit when he was head of the service. Meanwhile, South African gold mining company Goldfield says KPMG remains its external audit, but it will continue to monitor future developments. In the meantime, companies controlled by the Guptas have lost a court bid to prevent Bank of Baroda from shutting their accounts, which would leave the politically connected family without banking services in South Africa from the end of this month. Judge Hans Fabricus dismissed the application of 20 companies linked to the Gupta family and awarded costs against them at the Pretoria High Court on Thursday. The Bank of Baroda was the family's last hope after a series of lenders, including South Africa's 4 biggest banks and Bank of China Limited, cancelled their accounts amid concerns the companies risked falling foul of regulators and the law. And that's a wrap on the program and for today and, of course, for the week. Thank you very much for being part of it. I'm Chimizi Obi. Enjoy the weekend.